mean, I was milking it for all the work that I was doing.
But yeah, I think I might have just left a t-shirt on the floor.
Hi, Poker!
That was just...
What's up?
How are you?
Good. Hey, Paul, you want to get backstage? Along with everything
Wait,
else.
what?
What?
Wait, what did you say?
Came in after the panel. Getting one of my comedians to get with the rest of the...
Oh, you have to put me in the stable, huh?
I thought you said you needed
I'll
help
put you in the
backstage.
stable with the rest of them.
Yeah. You're fine.
So, let me first start by saying, welcome to Amateur Hour! So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Poker Wolf, and,
Who are you?
well, I'm about to tell you a bit about me. The last year of my life has been kind of going through a lot of changes, and one of those changes is because of a little convention I try and help out at called Fur Reality in Cincinnati, Ohio. Now, Fur Reality is a little weird in that we have a con-wide game and a con-wide storyline, and how the attendees play the game affects the outcome of the storyline. And last year, all the attendees of Fur Reality rallied together and decided that I, as the villain, deserved to be chokeslammed through a table. I suffered a concussion so bad they made me con-chair. But, you know, I was a little nervous about becoming con-chair. I decided to sit down with the former con-chair attack and kind of talk through some things with him. And I come to a realization I do not need to be afraid of the attendees anymore. Because my staff are fucking psychopaths. No joke. Last year, our theme was space. And you know what? One of our members of my staff had a wonderful idea. And here's their train of thought they followed. Space. NASA deals a lot with space. NASA has missiles and rocket ships. You're getting ahead of me. You know what's like a rocket ship to the moon?
No!
No. A Nike Hercules nuclear missile! Can we get one to bring a freaking nuke to my Vulgarity? And the only reason it didn't happen was because the mall that we shared the parking lot with didn't have helicopter clearance! Yes!
I don't believe you.
You don't have to believe me. My staff are scary enough on their own if you want to meet some of them. But as scary as the staff is, and as into the theme as they weren't nearly as destructive as our hotel that got into the theme a little too far. 2 years ago, we were at our old hotel. Notice on the word old. They decided they wanted to get into our theme that year, the apocalypse, a little too much. So, during closing ceremonies, we're all getting ourselves pretty prepped up, getting things going, and we start hearing a thunderstorm. And then in the middle of the audience, we start singing, drip, drip, drip. Shit. What are we gonna do? Oh, I know, let's make a giant tower of chairs with a trash can on the top, and no one will sit near that. Perfect plan. We open up the doors, we let everyone in, and what's the first thing that happens?
Someone knocks it over.
No. A bunch of fursuiters decided they needed the chairs, so we started to disassemble the chairs and sit right directly underneath there. Now, we did have a staff member have a brain, and they decided, hey, let's move on out of this area. Let's put this trash can here. There we go. Everything's perfect. And I shit you not, during the closing ceremonies, during the play, what line happens? The world is falling apart! We must get out of here! Boom! Splash! A waterfall of disgusting rainwater that's been through 3 layers of roofs collapsed in the middle of closing ceremonies, and that shit's on YouTube. No. Something I like to do to kind of raise morale with the staff is to take out of context staff quotes from them and sneak them off to Dragor for him to use during Who's Lying. This little tidbit that I'm about to read to you was from one conversation. I'm slippery. I lather myself in Vaseline on a daily basis.
Why? Huh?
Why are we discussing Vaseline on my nipples? Poker, you showed up to this meeting. Your face is going on a thong! When we're talking about the transference of the contract, can you please make sure that there is a thong clause in the contract? But I don't want my face on a thong. And
Right here, thong.
And to top it all off, why do you guys forget about bug paws? It's like my favorite thing. But I gotta say, the worst thing about conventions is when you have to inevitably go back to your normal life and your day job. PCAD is a total asshole, and I hate it. And the only thing that makes it worse for me are my stupid coworkers. I got one coworker, and he's a real nice guy. But he's a fucking idiot. No train of thought there. He starts off simply by... My first night back from Vulgarity closing with him. Hey man, store's pretty empty. I'm gonna DoorDash in some buffalo wild wings. Alright, cool, that's fine. Okay, a 10-piece of mild wings. Send. Yeah, these are pretty hot. Wow. Whew. Man, I'm glad I didn't get any hotter. That's a little warm. Oh, cool. You want some? Nah, but. Second night of closing with him. We are slammed out the door with customers. Oh man, this is too much. I need some food. I gotta relieve my stress by eating. Give me 1 sec. I'm gonna DoorDash in some hot wings. Quaker steak. Oh, triple atomic. That sounds delicious. No, you're all right. We need to make that a bucket size.
Oh no.
So 30 minutes later, the wings arrive, and I can smell them through the door. They are that hot. It is painful. He, for some reason, does not realize this. So he picks up the bag, walks into the back. I'm dealing with a line of customers. Thank you for shopping with us, sir. Have a good day. Ah! Holy shit, these are hot! Oh God! Oh God, they're so hot! Oh God, they're so hot. A trash can. I get a trash can. Starts drooling into a trash can, runs out into the store. Oh God, it's so hot. Sir, would you like some hot wings? They're really hot. This happened for 2 hours. The next day comes, and he decides to come to work. Oh man, he's sweating, he's still feeling the pain from all the wings. Oh man, dude, I shit fire last night. I thought I needed to like stick a popsicle up my ass or something. It just hurt so bad, man. Cool?
That's how you start.
Cool. Ladies and gentlemen, first we have a fantastic show for you tonight. We have a lot of really amazing comedians. I'm Pokewolf. That was my 10 minutes. Thank you so much.
Woo! Love you, Poker!
I want to bring up someone next who I saw at Anthrocon, and the comedies made me go, what the fuck? What did I just watch? Ladies and gentlemen, first, please give a round of applause for Paul!
Woo!
Oh God.
And furthermore, I would like to address the rumors I didn't know. I thought it was a goat I was milking. Apparently, in the great state sovereign of Tennessee, it is illegal to milk a ghost. See, that's what he said. Speaking of the South, I am reminded somehow of the story of the preacher with the shooting iron. Now, I should mention at this point that we didn't have quite the same sort of church in Calaveras that most people are used to. Our priest was a bit different. His name was, as I recall, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, Ezekiel Abaddon. And he preached from the recently published Seaman's Sermon, a handbook for the up-and-coming priest. Now, it was a little bit out of date, and I am also now reminded of a parable from it on vulgarity. Vulgarity. According to the Dictionary of the Vulgar Tongue, 1786, quite a few words that we use that you would hear in any conversation were, once upon a time, extraordinarily vulgar. And you'll pardon me if I forgot to turn my timer on, so I have absolutely no idea where I am. Old hat, of people's privities, because frequently felt. You would once upon a time, you would once hear many people use that phrase, burn in shame, a sexual position involving the insertion of a candle, lit. Now, this is bad enough for those of us of the non-Hebrew persuasion, but I imagine in the high holidays, Hanukkah must get very excited with those who practice that particular position, seeing as how 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, unless you have only one eye, you really can't get up to a full menorah. But I was talking about Ezekiel Abaddon. He was a very fashionable priest. You know, why am I having so much trouble with this? I'm terribly sorry. I think I'm a bit tired tonight. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just having trouble. I can't think
Give it up to Paul. Give us things hearts. Sometimes that is the best for us. Next up we have Bo Burnham. What? Bo Burnham, will you please go on stage?
Well, Burnham,
No?
get up there. Get up there, Bo.
He's not back there? Okay. Bojack Horseman. Bojack, will you come up on stage? Is he back there? Can you find him?
No,
No?
Alkali's not here.
Well, of course Alkali's not here. He's never here.
Sorry, I get alcoholics confused.
Oh, right. Guys and girls and everything in between, give it up for Bo.
The other half of my name is Bo Jackal. I did afford him 3 guesses, but I guess I wasn't generous enough. Oh man, this is gonna be a low energy set. I had a really furry morning this morning. I got to bed at like 5 something, and then at 10 something, one of my many roommates was like jabbing me in the side like, hey, the toilet doesn't work. I don't know what the deal is. Like, we gotta call the people, the toilet doesn't work. And so I'm like blearily stumbling over there, knowing that this is a problem, because our hotel is too like metro and high concept to give us a plunger. So I don't know what to do about this. And I go look in there, and I'm just like, what did you guys do in here that required the expenditure of this much toilet paper all at once? Did you botch a surgery? I have no idea what's happening. But that's the kind of thing that happens. You know, you have all these people that are like, I came here so I wouldn't have to human. So you have these logistical problems. And then the first thing you do in the morning is you have to get together all of the boys and sit them down and say, okay, all of you adults, let me explain the throughput on this machine in the bathroom. That was how my day started. All right, so this this bit, all this stuff just happened. I don't know if enough time has gone past to let this tragedy marinate into comedy, but there's only one way to know, and that's to test it out. You guys get to join me on that journey. All right, so I got my dream job, and it was the worst thing that ever happened to me. And my novel of that title will be available in the foyer. Actually, I'm just gonna tell you about it. So I've always wanted to be a nuclear engineer, and when I was talking to a company about that, they said, well, we don't have any positions like that open. And I was ready to say, okay, yeah, that's too bad. They said, oh, would you like to be that guy's boss for 20% more money? And unaccustomed to a hard upsell when asking about a job, I went for it. Really should have read that as conspicuous enthusiasm. You know, like, if a used car dealer is like, oh, I can get you this $12,000 car for $10,500. Okay, good deal. If you show up to the dealership and he's like, hey, we need to move this thing now. Give me like $800 and just go. There's something wrong with that car. The cops are gonna be looking for it. Do not take that car. But I didn't realize that. I dropped everything, moved out to the middle of this potato field in Ohio to take the job. 3 months later, that company declared bankruptcy. And of course, it's a company, so they put like a positive spin on it. They're like, hey, this is just an internal reorganization of our debts, which is like the captain of the ship you're on saying like, hey, we're just having an internal water reorganization right now. We're gonna emerge from this a faster, sleeker ship. You know? And like, I didn't get any sympathy saying like, I really don't want to be in this position. I wanna get out of here. Because everyone else is saying, oh, well, I'm gonna stick it out. Yeah, easy for you to say. You've been here 15 years. You own a nice beach house here. Your kids go to school here. You got money on the table. I just walked up to the table, picked up my hand, noticed that it is a 7 of diamonds, 3 coasters from the bar, and what looks like the rules to pinochle. And I said, maybe this is not a good time to invest in this venture. I feel bad about this, is what I'm saying. Oh man, I was pissed. Because like the pipeline to qualify for that job is more than 2 years long. So it's not like I was doing the job. It's like, hey, study real hard, train to do that job that's not gonna exist when you get there. It's like if you went to college and they said, hey, even if you earn the diploma, odds are we're gonna burn it in front of you, so study hard. I'm like, man, I was livid. I was in full, like, I did not come here to be Queen of the Ashes mode for a while there. Yeah, the people who don't watch Game of Thrones are like, what is this diva's problem? And the people who do watch it are like, what is this Game of Thrones fan diva's problem? I actually went to an all-hands meeting that the company was having, and the reason for that meeting was they had just, attached all the corporate debt to the nuclear plants, and then cut them loose so they could say, what corporate debt? They're not with us. And I described that process in my question as akin to throwing drugs out the window of your car while the cops are chasing you. And the best part of that story is telling it to people who weren't there. Because they'll hear about it secondhand, and it's like not as insane as the thing that actually happened. Like, oh, you said that? Where the executive board could hear? Oh no, not where they could hear. I walked up to them, addressed them formally, and said those words directly into their ear holes. Because like, what are they gonna do? They're gonna lay me off early? Oh no, not a severance package. Ugh. So I started looking at alternatives for some reason. Turns out other nuclear plants were also looking at us, squinting through their opera glasses saying, oh, this doesn't seem to be going very well for them. Because their thought was, hey, nuclear engineers are about to be very cheap and plentiful. Let's not hire any for a while. So I was kind of stuck there. And I mean, was it that bad? I don't know. Lots of people would be very grateful to have a job where they can go up to the CEO of the company and tell him they can't decide whether his actions are criminal or merely incompetent, and have nothing happen. Seriously, the whole board was just like, well, that's just your opinion, man. And they sat down, Or people would love to have a job where you can just like literally stumble through days at work and like take depression naps in the men's room in the middle of your shift, and they just keep paying you because they're like, yeah, we know this place is on fire. But I, for some reason, found that unsatisfying. And eventually I just couldn't do it anymore. For a long time, I would get up in the morning and be like, can I do literally one day more of this? And there was one day I was like, nope, I can do 0 more days of this. And some people freaked out. I had one boss, he was just like, no, you can't quit. And I was just looking at the door like, you can lock me in here? I'm pretty sure I can. And so, yeah, eventually he calmed down, got me the forms I needed. He said, hey, take this out to HR, fill them out, bring it back. I tried to bring it back. 2 guys with assault rifles slung across their chests got in front of me and said, you're not allowed on the site. What kind of Mean Girls power move is that? Hey, bring this stuff back for me. Oh, psych, you're not allowed in here anymore. That's quite a turn from you can't quit. But it did make it a lot easier to say, like, was it a good idea to leave? Yeah, it was a good idea to leave. But I didn't have any prospects. So, you know, I'm like sitting there on my web browser in one tab applying for jobs, and in another tab like looking for cheap household goods on Amazon. Because I know I've just been entered into the worst lottery ever. There's a whole bunch of breach of contract fees that I have to pay, several $1,000s worth in fact. And that invoice will show up, you know, whenever they get around to it. So I'm not having a good time. And I keep not having a good time for a few months. But those 2 tabs being next to each other, I don't know, apparently some internet magic happened. Because Amazon sent me a message that said, hey, we heard you're applying to some data center jobs. We've got a few of those in the back. And I was just like, wow, thanks, corporate surveillance dystopia. Shall I give you my resume or just hold it up to the webcam? And then, yeah, so I followed up with them. The only problem was they were like really excited about me. And the week they called was the week of ELFC. So I had 3 video conference interviews to do, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of that con. Some of you didn't say, oh no, you should have. Because think about it. Think about trying to find a quiet place where nothing distracting is going on behind you at a furry con. There are no such places. And that's just what I need. Like, in the middle of the most important conversation of my life, the next question in the interview is, so is that a man in a kangaroo costume drunkenly twerking behind you? And I have to respond, no. That is a lady in a kangaroo costume, thank you. And I'll have you know she has not had a drink in her life. I'm pretty sure she's just suffering from heat stroke. I'll check on her when we're done here. And of course he'd say, oh, don't worry, we're done here. So yeah, I actually do the interview. and they're like, why are you on the roof of a hotel? Oh, no reason, just like the outdoors. Oh man, and that was a fun process. But you know what? Eventually, I got an offer letter from them. And could have leveraged that opportunity. What did I leverage for? Vacation, pay? Now what am I going to do with that? I leveraged the start date back to next Monday so I could go to Anthrocon and hang out with furries. So clearly I learned nothing from this whole adventure, and I hope you guys learn nothing also.
Last-minute addition. I've seen him perform a couple times, and frankly, he scares the living shit out of me.
Yeah!
Give it up for Snoot! Wow, that is the voice.
How are we doing tonight, everybody?
Terrible, how are you?
We all do good Anthrocon?
Yeah.
Woo!
I've had a good Anthrocon. I've had a very good Anthrocon.
Oh no.
Because I actually was talking with Alco after the shows tonight, and he introduced me to the glorious thing called Fizzy Cherry Cola. Now, if you have never indulged in Fizzy Cherry Cola, several things happen to you upon it entering your system. I took my first hit, coughed like a bitch, and then he just kind of said, it'll just work into your system. Now just go over to this wall and lean over. And I asked, why? And he says, because you're not going to want to move. And I said, okay. So I lean up against the wall. And I look out and I suddenly realize I am paying attention to every single conversation in my vicinity. For a guy who can barely follow one conversation in a crowded room, this is amazing. And everything is suddenly brighter. Oh, Jesus. It's actually happened. The straight guy has actually done something weird. So I'm just like looking there, and Alkaline just goes, he's going. And I was. It was wonderful. And then he told me, if you have the thought, I'm not high, go to bed. And I should go to bed. And about 10 minutes later, I said, I'm feeling fine, but I'm feeling a little tired. Maybe I should go to bed. And I turned to Status and I said, I had the thought. And she said, okay, we'll take you back to the hotel and let you go ahead and have a little sleep. And I said, okay. So we walked back, and of course, being a medicated man, I have some medicines I have to take to help myself sleep. And it's very important that I keep those. So I realized I kept them in my car. I think you see where this is going. So I say, I need to go back to my car and get my medications. He says, great, I'll be waiting in the hotel room for you. So I go back to my car, no problem, pick up my pills, and start to head back towards the convention center. As I pass the convention center, I go down towards the Greyhound station, and suddenly I have entered Toontown. Literally, I just found myself walking around the Greyhound station, just like, whoa. And then, I'm at the light, right there, headed back towards Liberty Center, and I realize, my orienteering, I can't orienteer. I have no idea where I am, help. And then, the next moment, I'm sitting down. I said, how did I get here? I wasn't sitting down a minute ago. And I looked out over at the Greyhound station and I saw a man playing guitar, and it sounded wonderful. And then I looked back a minute later, it was just two guys staring at the building, and I was saying, what the hell? And then my vision had gone from this to this. I got anxious. I pulled out my phone. I was on about 10%. And I literally got on the telegram, and I got the message immediately. Hi, it's Status. Where are you? I simply text back, I don't know. I just said, I'm very anxious right now, and I'm scared. Please come get me. And she said, okay, just stay where you are, stay put. And I said, exactly where are you? I'm sitting down. No, don't sit down, stand up. And immediately I got up. And there's this little concrete pillar out there, out in front of the post office. So I walk over to it and I kind of just put a hand on it. Like, okay, it's okay. Everything's gonna be fine. She'll be here. And progressively, I just start to grab it and kind of shrink against it. And I'm just sitting here clinging onto this as the world collapses around me into a singularity of, oh my God, what am I gonna do? I currently have illegal things in my system, in a city I don't know. Nobody's around to help me. I'm probably going to jail. So, Status, thank God, pops out somehow from behind me. Just pops out the door and just says, Stu! And I'm just like, oh, thank God. You're here. I need to get inside. Like now. And she says, okay, just stay with me and we'll get you to the room. And I say, okay. So we go back to the room and I'm sweating profusely. And she says, go ahead and lay down on the floor. I say, okay. So as I lean down and close my eyes, I start laughing. And I can't stop. And then Status starts laughing. And starts talking about Red Robin Young. Just going, Red Robin Young.
I was hungry last night. Leave me alone.
You're always hungry, Status.
That's fair.
So, the moral of the story is, when you have fizzy cherry cola, don't separate off alone. It's dangerous to go alone. Have somebody watch you. Thank you for visiting my story.
Yes, dude! That is all 100% true, by the way.
It is. I altered nothing.
Knowing you, I believe every word of it.
Literally, he left out. We were literally laughing for like an hour over Red Robin. Like, it was so weird.
Y'all having fun so far?
Yeah. Woo!
Oh man, only that much? Man, we suck.
Wow!
All right, we're up to our next final two comedians. Before we get to it, I just want to thank you all for coming out here. It means the world to us. So for our next act, we have a person who has performed on main stage yesterday during the music festival. Please give a large round of applause for the one and only Citrine Husky! All right. And we are good. Oh, nope, little fork. There we go. And here's your mic.
Somehow I get the pretension that he's an asshole. So we're gonna fix that. I might not have eyes, but I have ears, buddy. So yeah, my name is Citrine Husky. I don't plan my sets because I can't read the damn script, so what difference does it make? I can't very well be like, yeah, my notes say, yeah, that's really gonna look great. It's unprofessional, and if you're blind, it basically looks like you're trying to bore the paper rather than read it. So it doesn't really work.
I have some glasses here.
I had a glass too, it was full of alcohol, it was better.
Oh. Okay.
We'll talk later. But yes, so I always like to start off my sets with something dedicated to somebody in my life. That's just the way I am. I'm a very sentimental person. That being said, I would like to dedicate this to my ex. This is a little song I wrote. I am a songwriter, but I just wanted to be short and sweet to the point with her, so when I broke up with her, I showed up to her door, and I said this, God made you very special, but God made a mistake. I didn't think that would go over. She liked it a whole lot less. I'm kind of surprised. But yes, so I basically enjoy being on stage. You know, if you don't know me, I dance, I sing, I dabble in comedy apparently now. I'm just kind of adding to my roster. I'm going through basically the encyclopedia and just be like, yeah, I can do that, I can do that. And then finally I got down to the essence and I found something that just summed everything up, and it was stage horror. So basically it works out pretty well in my favor. So for those of you who don't mind me talking about it, I actually am legally blind, which I had somebody comedically ask, does that mean that basically it's illegal if you say you're sighted, which I laughed at them and I said no and hit them with my cane abruptly. But being blind does allow me to be an asshole apparently. Because I was a young furry once too. And basically what happened, it was, yeah, I can talk about it now, it's definitely been more than 2 years. So, there was a convention held in a state that looked like a foot. Wonder which one that one was.
First word.
What's just a sweaty?
Louisiana.
Louisiana.
Maybe.
Louisiana.
No, it's that state south of those big lake things.
Michigan.
Ohio.
You failed geography, every damn one of you.
Louisiana looks
I
great.
don't understand. I know this better.
Is this a thing relating to that you're blind?
You know, There's a lot of things I could do right now. But I'm staff for a convention, so I'm obligated to say, good one. You win this round.
I do not want to start a rivalry with you, Citrine. I really don't.
We love you, Citrine.
Oh, come
Here's
on,
the joke.
come on. Yes, you do. That's fun.
It is fun for one of us.
That's true.
Not me.
Really?
What?
Really? Not
Yeah.
for you?
No, because I know you kick my ass every time.
If you lose to a blind guy, you're the worst fighter ever.
Oh.
Like the thing to win against a blind person, people are like, how would you win a fight against a blind person? You don't even have to do anything, and here's the thing, shut the hell up.
Tell that.
You do that, and it's like the best game of Marco Polo ever. You win every time.
And tell that to anyone who ever fought against Daredevil. Yeah.
Well, I'm not doing that, so the rules do not apply. But anyway, I was a young furry once too, and I had turned 21, and I had good friends. And by good friends, I mean monsters with money.
They got you drunk, didn't they?
Don't get ahead of me, but maybe they did. We'll have to find out. So, it was a convention in 2014, and I decided, my friends have money, and they're offering alcohol.
Yeah.
If it's free, it's good.
Hell yeah.
This is a philosophy I learned to follow much more cautiously in the years preceding.
Free alcohol is always good.
So what ended up happening, I don't know why I'm moving this. It's not like I can see the damn thing to step on it or not. However, I do want this. This thing is basically, ignore words. But basically, this little thing plays a role in the story because I went to the bar, and I think that my consciousness died some point around Chug.
Chuck.
I remember very little of this. However, I have good friends that are sighted and are assholes, as I said, that remember. They didn't drink. I thought they were drinking along with me. Note to self, when your friends aren't slurring with you, maybe you should start to question. Water and tequila apparently are the same color, and yeah. So we get late into the night. I apparently decided that the bar stool was hurting my ass, and it was time to go teach it a lesson, so I needed to find something and someone who would take care of this travesty. So I wander off. And I decide I'm going to go back to my room. I'm still feeling good at this point. I'm roaring drunk, but I'm apparently a very entertaining roaring drunk. So what did I do? I went back to my room, and I put on my full digigrade suit. Yeah, it's funny in the fact that a blind person wears a fursuit. I mean, you know, tunnel vision. People are like, fursuit vision sucks. It's the same for me. I don't know what people are complaining about, but I got up there and I decided, okay, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna have fun. You know, I'm gonna be a drunk furry. I wonder what that'd be like. Maybe I could create a persona called Drunky or Alkali or something like that. I mean, I've got good references, you know, and you know, I mean, it's not like it's hard to find him. You know, if you don't have vision, that doesn't matter. You just kind of look for that. And so I got in my suit and I came back downstairs. There were two people that were sipping on a beer and acting as if they were really getting wasted. And they were here's a joke. Shut up. And so I basically decided, well, what am I going to do? Oh, well, I think that I am going to, because I'm in a fursuit, they're annoying me. They're loud. I'm starting to get a little bit of a headache now. I don't like the loud. I'm going to get on all fours and growl at their asses.
Oh my god.
So, apparently that's not enough because they don't pay any attention. So I decide to basically Cujo their ass, run at them on all fours, growling. So what ends up happening beyond that is I decide, oh, my head hurts and I lost them. Oh, so I'm walking around the hallways and I'm tapping this thing in suit. Now, there's a very distinct sound that comes with walls. When the wall curls up around your cane like a deranged caterpillar, it's not a wall. Somebody decided to lay on their side and play their DS or text on their phone. I don't care what they were doing, it was dumb. And my cane connected with their crotch. And it was then that I learned why it's called a cane. It's not because it's, oh, the name works. It's a damn acronym. It's the Cock and Nut Exterminator. Now, the story should end there, but it doesn't.
Oh, no.
So what ended up happening? Well, I ran into the elevators, and I decided I'm going to go up the elevator, so I pushed the button. The elevator doors open, and the people that I had chased away were in the elevators. The door shuts. They ran out. They made the mistake. They went, ah! Well, now I gotta follow them. It's a chase now. So I did. I followed them all the way to the room on all fours, growling at them again. They slammed the door shut. I'm tired. I take my head off and I pass out. I wake up to what can only be described as God's revenge. To them opening the door, holy shit, it's still out there! And slamming the door back shut. Do you want to room with me at a furry convention?
Yeah.
I'll just ask Poker.
If
Guys, my name is Citrine Husky. Thank you so much for letting me on the stage.
Give up for Citrine! Let's take a moment and help you down. Another step, another step, and one more step, and we're good.
Having fun?
Big better.
Yeah, but how about all you? All right, we are at our final performer of the night. This individual has blown me away every time they have performed. And speaking of performances, he is the opener and keeper of the three-headed monster, Chris the Comedy Bunny!
So, is everyone having a good time?
Yeah!
Woo! Isn't that fun? Alrighty, so I was having a good time almost immediately once I got to Anthrocon because I was like, man, I gotta pee. So I went to the bathroom, and inside the bathroom, I went up to the urinal and I spun around and I started taking a leak. For a fun fact, you're not supposed to turn your back to the audience, but this is for a fact. Ooh, artistry. Anyways, so I'm taking a pee, and then I start hearing a I'm like, am I having a stroke right now? What the hell's going on? So I realized someone in one of the stalls is now currently playing a hip-hop instrumental track for some reason. And I'm like, okay, I mean, that's fine. So I go back to my peeing. And, when the mood strikes you, I start spitting a few bars. It's just, whoa, fuck. Let me look at my notes, because...
Are we gonna get a Big Round Ronnie appearance?
Oh, of course.
Yes!
Standing in the bathroom, pissing in the urinal, shaking off my winky, feeling quite adorable. This beat is deplorable, I need something fast, so DJ pulls something out your ass. And then the beat drops, and we freak the fuck out together. And it is magic. We're screaming across the bed, like, oh! And I'm just like, and then I put my dick away, because that's really bad. And then I wash my hands and leave, and I never found out who that glory hole DJ was. But holy shit, how magical is that? We had a real moment, and I never know, in the worst possible location. And part of me, if you are that person and you're like, oh shit, I had a weird moment with someone who was rapping to my poop music. Don't tell me, because I think our relationship is best kept in the bathroom. But it's really cool. I like meeting new people. I like meeting interesting people. One of my coworkers wanted me to meet someone, one of their friends, one of their oldest friends. So he's like, come on, let's go get lunch with him. And I'm like, all right. So this individual's name is Rex. And before I get there, my coworker, Rich, decides to preface me like saying, look, dude, the best way I can describe Rex is someone who has kind of like a D at life. Like he's definitely barely making it. And it's like, okay, I don't know exactly what that means, but like, okay. So I'm sitting in the back seat. Rex kind of comes in, winded. He's like, oh yeah. Sorry about being so late. I had to get a butt loaf of stuff out of my basement. And I go, what was that? He's like, there's just a butt loaf of stuff down there. And I'm like, I guess that's a lot of stuff. It's a whole loaf. And I'm like, all right, so this is where this is going. So the conversation continues along, and we start talking about various things. And we're both contractors, so we're both kind of like discussing the prospects of like, you know, sometimes things dry up. Like, you know, you have to wait to like make it, you have to like make sure that you can get your next gig. Well, he's like, and I was like, yeah, man, when things get tough, you just kind of got to ride it out till you make it to work again, you know? And he's like, oh yeah, no, that's parts for the horse for you, you know? Yeah. And I was like, part of the course, okay. What the fuck is wrong with this man? Like, what the fuck does that, parts for the, what horse? Like, what's the internal logic of this human? Is he building a horse? That's fucking weird. But, you know, he just believes that's the case. And he's like, hey, let's get a couple of drinks. And I'm like, oh, of course we have to get a couple of drinks, because I want to know how weird this fucker gets drunk. So we do, and he starts getting a little angry, and he starts telling me about a client he had recently, and how they were getting up in his face about things. And you know, the client's like, rabble. And this fucker's like, look, and he's like, and I told that fucker to thread lightly if he's dealing with me. And I'm like, thread lightly? Is he fucking sewing? Rex, not only did you get that wrong, I think you literally ruined the actual intent of what you said. At no point is somebody be like, oh shit, he told me to sew better. I really should listen to him, that's intimidating. Maybe like to grandmas, I don't know. So, you know, I feel really bad for this guy because he keeps fucking up like this. And I'm like, look, I'm gonna be honest. I'm like, I'm gonna tell him. And Rich is like, don't fucking tell him. I'm like, no, I'm gonna tell him. I can't, this is too much. And I walk up to him, I'm like, Rex, listen, you're almost right most of the time. And he's just like, what do you mean? I'm like, you just don't use quite the right words. And he's like, well, even a broken clock's right once in a while. And I'm like, son of a bitch, Rex! What's wrong with you? How are you gonna do that to me? So infuriating. Interesting people are cool, by definition. Because they're interesting. That's a stupid joke. Anyways, one other interesting person I actually met at a convention. They were really weird, because I had to make it to a show, right? There was a panel going on. And that person was giving me cotton mouth. That person, like I said, I had to make it to a panel. Alkali was like, just hurry up and get to your room. So I go to my room, I get my stuff, and I come back down, and I'm waiting for the elevator. And I'm standing there, and this guy walks up to me, and he goes, hey, nice shirt. And I go, oh, thanks, man. That's a normal thing to say. And then he's like, do you like water sports? And I was like, that's not a normal thing to say. And then I looked down and I realized, oh, I'm wearing my Piss Freak shirt. That is a normal thing to say, actually, okay. And I'm like, oh no, dude, like, I'll watch if they're on, but like, I don't play. And like, the doors swing open, I get into the elevator and the doors close and go down, and that's the end of that very interesting person. But like, I like to think, like, to this day, I like to think about what would happen if I did say yes. Like, what a weird turn of events. Like, Alkali's sitting there waiting for his panel, freaking out, and be like, "Ah, I'm gonna get you!" And like, he's like, "Where the hell is Chris? Oh, fuck it, I'm calling him." He takes his phone out, he's like, "Hello? Where are you? What's going on?" "I was just hanging out. What's up, man?" Are you coming?" "I will be in a few minutes." "Where are you?" "Hang on a second." "I'm in heaven, baby." And then I like hang up the phone and I was like, "Fuck."
Jesus Christ.
Right? So anyways, let me tell you about the time, now that I've lost you with piss freak humor, let me win you back with weed humor. Yeah, Alkali gets it. Anyways, let me tell you the time I got too high. Like, very much too high. So, I found myself being given an edible at a relatively young age. Not like illegal young, but young. And so, I was given this edible by my mom's boyfriend, who's like an aging biker hippie from the 60s, with no taste buds. So this fucker just takes like 4 plants and throws it right into the pot and just kind of shoves it in and just melts the whole thing down. So this cookie's more weed plant than dough, but still, it gets the point across. So I'm like, well, I've never had an edible before, and the standard going like size portion for cookie is a whole cookie. There's no like half cookie, unless you're like on a diet or a mom. So like, I'm like, I guess I'll eat the whole cookie. I'm glad someone loved the mom joke. Anyways, there they are. And so I'm like, I guess I'll eat the whole cookie. So I eat the whole cookie, or I eat this whole brick of hash in the shape of a cookie, and I just fucking lose it. And my girlfriend comes over and she's like, "How are you doing?" And I'm like, "Really fucking high." And she's like, "Cool, wanna watch TV?" And I'm like, "I guess." And then the room kept spinning and spinning and spinning, and I'm like, "Shit, I'm too fucking high." And I was like, "I'm gonna go lay down for a minute because yeah." And she's like, "Yeah, go ahead, you're mumbling to yourself." And I'm like, "Cool." So I go into my bedroom, I shut off the lights, and I lay in my bed, and I'm sitting there like, why is the room still spinning when my eyes are closed? That shouldn't be a thing. It's darkness, there's nothing to spin, and I'm freaking the fuck out, and I start shaking like a crackhead. I'm like, oh god, I'm too fucking high. I'm cool. This is cool. Like, I can do this. I need to go to the bathroom. Yeah, I need to go to the bathroom. That's good. Yeah, I'll go to the bathroom. So I get up and I'm like shaking, and she's like, "Is everything all right?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm fine. I just need to like shit." And like, I walk over to the bathroom, you know, and I lean up against the toilet, and I'm like, all right, if I throw up, I'll be good. If I throw up, I'll be good. Yeah, if I throw up, I'll be good. This will be awesome. And I'm like, come on, throw up. Nope, I'm not throwing up. Come on, this is terrible. And I just kind of slink next to the toilet, and I just curl up, and I'm like, oh god. Oh. And my girlfriend comes in like, "Hey, are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm too high. Get my mommy." And so she's like, "Okay," and she goes and gets my mom, and I'm like, I'm so high. And my mom looking down at me like, "Hey, buddy, what's wrong?" I'm like, "I'm too high, Mom. I'm too high." She's like, "Yeah, you are. What happened?" And I'm like, "I ate the whole cookie." She's like, "Oh, no, you shouldn't eat the whole cookie. What did I tell you about half portions?" I'm like, I didn't know. She's like, "No, it's okay. Come on, let's get you away from hugging the toilet. You look like a crackhead. Come on." And so she's like, "You doing okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, a little." She's like, "All right, let's sit you down. Let's set you up. So, what do you want to watch?" And I was like, "I want to watch cartoons. I want to watch cartoons." And she's like, "Yeah, I'm sure you do want to watch cartoons. What do you want?" I'm like, "Tiny Toons. Let's watch Tiny Toons." She's like, "Yeah, all right, we'll watch Tiny Toons." And so she sits me down, and I'm sitting there watching Tiny Toons. And she's like, you feeling better? I'm like, yeah. She's like, here, and hands me a bowl. Not a bowl, a bowl. Like, just to clarify, she's not like, fuck yeah, let's keep this train going. Fucking hell or bust. And she hands me a bowl, and she's like, feeling better? I'm like, yeah. And my girlfriend's rubbing my back, and I'm sitting there watching the hijinks of Tiny Tamers, and I'm like spinning. And I'm feeling better, and I'm spinning. And then I have a brief moment of total clarity, and I go, oh. And then I fill the bowl up with vomit, and I'm cool after that. And I'm like, wow, that was crazy. And she's like, yeah, you were fucked up. And I'm like, thanks, Mom. And she's like, no problem, that's what I'm here for. That's my time. Bye, everyone.
We had Chris, we had Bo Jackal, we had Citrine, we had Snoot. I've been your host, Poker Wolf. Thank you, good night! Coming up next, Salt and Pepper After Dark, and after that, the Boozy Late Show. You do not want to miss that.
Silver Gato Man, he bought me a coffee. Silver Gato Man, here is the song for thee. He likes to video all the panels at the cons. You should go and watch them whether they are short or long. Silver Gato Man, you video that's not a jibe. All of you go to his YouTube channel and like and subscribe.